Okay, so just a little bit more on these blood cells so that we can keep them sorted. So we know a red blood cell, they're regulated by production. So children, the marrow, most bones produce our blood cells. By adulthood, only the bones of the chest, the base of the skull, spinal vertebrae, pelvis, and the ends of the limb bones remain active, producing red blood cells. So proliferation and differentiation of the various progenitor cells is stimulated at multiple points by a large number of protein, hormones, and paracrine agents, which we collectively term the hematopoietic growth factors, HGF. So EPO, which we'll talk about a little later, is an example of one of the human growth factors. The physiology of the human growth factors is really complex. There's so many types. At any given, human growth factors are often produced by a variety of cell types throughout the body, and there are just so many types. And then in addition to it, human growth factors often exert other actions in addition to stimulating blood cell production. So these things are interacting with everything, so it gets a little dicey here. So for example, EPO is the major stimulant for erythropoiesis, or red blood cell production, for this hematopoietic stem cell to commit down this way to a reticulocyte into a red blood cell. But let's see, there are at least 10 other human growth factors that also cooperate in this process. So red blood cells, EPO is the signal. With low oxygen, the kidneys make it, and it is the signal to produce more red blood cells at the marrow. But platelets here, I'm going to just write down human growth factors are stimulate this. EPO predominantly. Increase EPO equals increase RBC. So platelets, these are circulating platelets. They're colorless. They're non-nucleated cell fragments that contain granules, and they're much smaller than red blood cells. So these platelets here. Platelets are produced when cytoplasmic portions of large bone marrow cells, called megakaryocytes, right here, pinch off and enter circulation. Platelets are used in clotting. We get a platelet plug at the first site of injury, and it helps stop the bleeding. So some of the other things that we have, tissue macrophages, these are really located strategically, usually in the epithelial, so where they're in contact with the external environment, such as skin, linings of the respiratory and digestive tracts. Macrophages are large phagocytes capable of engulfing viruses and bacteria. So let's just do this, virus, bacteria, and we're going to put a pick there. They get rid of those. Tissue macrophages make those go away. So now we get to some of the other leukocytes. So neutrophils, these are phagocytes, so the most abundant leukocytes. So put most abundant. They're also found in the blood, but leave capillaries, and the signal for them to come is inflammation. After neutrophils engulf the microbes, such as bacteria through phagocytosis, the bacteria are destroyed and with an endocytotic vacuole by proteases. So they just basically chew it up, put it in here, and then help remove an infection. So they're the most abundant, and they get rid of bacteria. So the eosinophils are found in the blood and mucous membranes, or mucous surface linings of the GI, respiratory, and urinary tracts. They fight off parasites. No more parasites there. So then basophils, these secrete an anti-clotting factor called heparin, which helps the circulation flush out the infected site. Basophils also secrete histamine. Which attracts infection-fighting cells and proteins to the site. B and T lymphocytes, they protect against specific pathogens, including viruses, bacteria, toxins, and cancer cells. Some lymphocytes directly kill the pathogens, and others secrete antibodies in the circulation that bind to foreign molecules and begin the process of destruction. So here is the complete multipotent uncommitted hematopoietic stem cell, all the different fates it can go. It can commit early and become a lymphocyte or be a T, and then it can be a committed stem cell and either become a red blood cell, a platelet, a tissue macrophage, a neutrophil, a eosinophil, or basophil.